everyone. My name is Jana Truman. I am the Managing Director and Broker for SVN Accel Commercial Real Estate and for, in this case, Accel Exit Advisors, because we have some exciting guests for us tonight who are going to talk about things that would pertain to both. But before we get started, once again, I just want to thank all of you for being here. And I want to thank our sponsors, and we're going to give them a time to be able to speak about what they are here for in a minute. In the meantime, I want to remind you all that part of the reason why we do this is so that we can help you gain education, because when we do these classes, we are trying to facilitate the opportunity for you to increase your standard of living. And we know that we can do that by providing you with access to trusted, vetted vendors and for people who have already gone before, who've done it. And so we interview people who are those proof of concept, and then we also show those people who are going to help you, because investment in commercial real estate is a team contact sport. You need to have the insurance person, you need to have the accountant, you need to have all of those different vendors to be able to help you make those wise decisions. Again, I am grateful for you all to be here. Before we get started, we always do our market update. I want to let you know what's going on in the market, because after all, you are all primarily investors and you want to know what is the latest. So I'm going to be giving you a couple of different segments. So hospitality, the last 12-month occupancy rate was 68.9%. The 12-month ADR is 170.14, and the 12-month RevPAR is 117.28. The 12-month supply is 20,600,000, and the 12-month demand is 14.2 million. Now, that is a stat that sounds not as good as it actually is, in the sense that the recovery for Nashville's hotel performance has actually sharply accelerated in the spring of 2022 as a group, and the return shows that we actually have a fairly strong leisure and hospitality, which is actually pretty cool. Now, all-time highs were in the spring of 2022. However, the occupancy continues to trail historic averages, and the recovery is a lot slower than we would like, just mainly because the large conventions and business travel have not yet completely returned. In addition, the market is absorbing a significant supply. So when I read these stats, I want you to keep in mind that there may be things that are kind of between the lines when it comes to the stats. And so I'll point some of those out. So for industrial, there's actually the last 12 months supply delivery, we had 7.2 million square feet. Let that number sink in. So 7.2 million square feet of industrial delivery. We had a net absorption, which means the amount of places that were unoccupied and now they are occupied, plus all of the new stuff that's come on. That number is 9 million. Let that number sink in. The vacancy rates are 3.2%. So that should tell you that we have a pent-up demand for that segment, and that the rent growth is showing one of the strongest in all of the sectors. That rent rate was 11.5%. So obviously the Nashville market continues to flourish for industrial, and we have that geography where we are literally within 9 hours of 2/3 of the United States, and that we are now being a magnet for those third-party logistics firms. The other pressure that that segment has is that while we have a lot of industrial zoning, those areas that are closest to the city are having what's called adaptive reuse, and they're being turned into mixed use developments. And so we're actually losing zoned areas for industrial, which for our long-term health and growth is not good. We want to make sure that we continue to have a very strong industrial and manufacturing sector so that we can have a very strong base economy. The multifamily is the one where over time over the last quarter, we've actually seen a little bit of a decline. We've had in the last 12 months, we've had 9,247 units delivered. We've had 3,400 roughly units absorbed, and we have a vacancy rate of 9.9%. The place where we've seen a softening is the year-over-year rent growth, and from year-over-year, from last month to this or from last year to this year, the rent growth has only been 2.6%. So we still had rent growth, but we didn't have the rent growth that we thought. And part of that is that we have a huge amount of properties that are getting ready to be delivered. And that's going to mean that there's going to be a much more competitive environment for that, which it means that we're going to be seeing a cool off in demand, especially in the Class A, in the top 2 levels of Class A. So office is probably the next one that's lagging a little bit, and that is we have, but not as much as you would think, considering all that's going on in the world. So with 12-month delivery, we actually had 12 months of, we had 1 million square feet of new office deliver in the last 12 months. That's a pretty amazing statistic. Then we had the net 12-month absorption rate though, and this is where it gets a little dicey. We actually only had 159,000 square feet of absorption, which means people that actually moved into the space within the last 12 months. The vacancy rate is 11.6%. And that might feel like it's a lot, but when you're looking at national rates compared to some of the other larger markets, that's actually a pretty reasonable amount. And in fact, some of that is indicative that there are entire buildings where they're not allowing for small tenants to go in. They want to bring in a big corporate headquarters, and so it's vacant, but they're waiting. They're not going to just split up all the spaces. So right now you actually have more choices as a small office user than you have had in years and years and years. But even then, it's still hard to find space, especially since we're seeing what's called a flight to quality, meaning that people, if they're going to come back to an office, they want it to be a really nice office. So where you're seeing the vast majority of the vacancy rates are in those middles, where you have the really, really nice offices or the really, really cheap ones. And if they have to be in an office, they go to the very least that they can go, those are going to be occupied. But the ones that are in that middle range are struggling because they just don't have the sex appeal that the really nice ones are, but yet they still are being able to command. Ironically, even with that vacancy rate year over year, they're running neck and neck with the rent growth for multifamily. It was actually at 2.5%. So that's pretty impressive. The one that is sort of the darling right now, the surprise darling, is retail. We had, in the last 12 months, we had 558,000 square feet of delivery, but we had the net absorption of 944,000. So that tells you that what was available, they've occupied that and then some, and now we have still got a vacancy rate of only 3.4%. So that's pretty amazing. So what that means then is if you're looking for retail space in the greater Nashville area, you're not going to have a lot of choice, and rent rates from year to year have gone up by 7.8% in retail. So you would think with the pandemic that we would have seen a lot more lackluster performance on the retail side, but unfortunately that is actually not the case. Now, the other thing that is going to be happening is we're going to have about 290,000 square feet coming in the next little bit, along with another wave that's going to be 1.2 million square feet of retail that they are anticipating that's going to be delivered in the next 12 to 18 months. And you would think, oh no, they're going to overbuild, but the the trend or the thought is that there is actually so much supply side pressure, there's so much demand that they anticipate that that is going to actually be built. So those are pretty interesting stats because Nashville continues to be strong across all segments in the great comparison for national other statistics. However, we have some that are have greater vacancy, etc. The one thing that I want to note though, and for you investors, is that while we are seeing some slowing rent growth, the price per square foot for those properties is actually not declining. So this idea that you think you might be able to get some bargains because things of maybe that 11.7 vacancy rate, even in the office segment. And the reality is that there are not any bargains in the Nashville area for any of the segments. That our sales prices have remained steady. And in fact, for mixed use development downtown, which included hospitality, we just had one of the most the record-breaking sales where one of the downtown mixed-use hotel retail developments sold for a whopping $787 million. Set records all across the board. So is the Nashville area continuing to enjoy growth? Yes, they are. So now we are going to take some time and acknowledge our sponsor for this evening. If you'll come up and introduce yourself, I'm so happy to have you here. Have a seat and tell us about you and tell us about your business and just take a couple minutes.
Hey guys, I'm Tiffany Rogers.
You can thank her for the cookies that are out.
Yes, and please take 2 because I brought a lot. I am a new shelter insurance agency owner, and I'm really excited about this new adventure that I'm on. My background is marketing, and I've been in the insurance industry, so I'm excited to, bring my love for people and the ways that I want to pour into people and encourage people just through the insurance world. And you said something about life's a contact sport. I have this saying that I say, it's life's a team sport, draft your team accordingly. And I think about that when I do business. Like I not only want to be a really strong teammate, but I also have gained teammates like you guys through the last couple of years in marketing and networking, people that just are strong teammates and that I can really learn from. And so I really admire the Trumans here and all that they're doing in their learning series. And so I'm excited, but I am going to do property casualty, life insurance, as well as commercial insurance. So I would love to be your go-to. My phone number, if I can just list that, and of course the Trumans have it, and Miss Joanna is 615-785-5986. And I'll have my business cards actually go live on Monday. So I start my brand new adventure and I'm really excited about it. And I have 3 kids, so I'm excited to make them proud and, show them, I guess, entrepreneurship and what that looks like.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Yes, thank you for having me.
You're sure welcome.
Where's your office?
My office is in Spring Hill, but I'm everywhere, all of Tennessee right now. And eventually I'll be in surrounding states.
Very cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Marcus, if you'll come up.
Sure.
So remember how I said that it is our goal to be able to increase your standard of living? Well, the reason why we do that is because we want people to be able to increase their standard of giving. And so we've actually invited Marcus Manise with his organization called Stronger Than My Father. And he's going to give a little bit of a information about how, if you are here tonight or if you are watching in our studio audience, that you can be a part of change in the community and you can make a difference. So Marcus, tell us about you and your adventure.
All right. My name is Marcus Manise. I'm the founder and executive director of Stronger Than My Father. For the past 10 years, I've dedicated my life to helping young men who don't have a solid father figure in the home, give them the tools it takes to be a successful young man out here in this crazy world. And also we have a before and after school program that we really focus on reading literacy. As you've seen in the news lately, kids who cannot read and pass the proficiency test in 3rd grade are being left behind. And I think that's, really not fair. So we want to be sure our service can help kids not get retained in 3rd grade and be productive citizens. So over the past 10 years, we use these tools to help young men through our mentoring program called Stronger Sons, where we meet every 2 weeks, which is give these young men the ability to be around positive role models. So as you've seen in some program where you meet once a month, you meet with us twice a month for at least 6 hours. We feel like those times we give you the tools it takes. We partner these young men with companies that's gonna help them further their career farther than what we're gonna do. So that's why we created Strong in My Father. I grew up with a father in the home. So I was blessed to get those tools, what it takes to be a man. I'm a father of 2 boys, that's 14 and 7, and also I have a wife of 22 years. So showing my boys, seeing what it takes to be a man, what it takes to be a father, is what we want to teach our boys with Strong in My Father.
Do you have a video for us?
Yes, I have a video. It's hard to see because my back is turned. So may I be able to stand here or you can sit here?
Well,
Oh,
actually, it
the
would probably
video.
be better if you sit, they won't be able to see you on the video, but they will be. able to
Okay,
see
yes.
They
Okay.
will be able to see your video,
Okay, great.
so.
Let me see what video they plug up here, and I'll give you more.
This is your PowerPoint. Did you want one of the videos instead?
Yes, because I'm gonna be respectful of the time.
Okay, yeah, let's do the video.
And this is one of our parents who have a young man in our program, and this is her testimonial about how our program has changed her life.
That fatherlessness means, your father is dead or your father is in prison. But for me, my son's biological father is very much a part of his life, but he is on the road. So he's not here and he has his own family. So we're a blended co-parenting unit. And then his stepdad, who he has known for half his life, was killed in a car accident last week. So my son kind of lost his best friend. And so through that, Mr. Marcus is being just a really good friend to Christian, to let Christian know, there's still someone there. There's a positive male role model in his life. My son needs that at a time when there's a board. I think a lot of kids today end up in unfortunate situations because, let's talk about it. The numbers are staggering for young African-American men that are in fatherless homes where they don't 100% live with their mother and their fathers, tend to gravitate towards other things in the community that are not so good for the outcomes of their lives. With the program, my son is always busy, so there's not a lot of time for him to become depressed. So I'm trying to give my son the best avenues for the best chance of being an African young man. And Mr. Marcus, he believes in that. He has mentored other young men that have done well, went on to college. So I want that for my son.
So it's a video of what we do in our organization, and it's just what we're passionate about. I think that many young men need that in their lives, and that's what we want to do here with Strong in My Father. It's basically break the cycle and be sure our young men have the best avenue for best life. So if I'm gonna bless my 2 boys, why can't I bless somebody else? So that's what our organization is about. And those who want to help us continue to work, continue to fight for the fatherless, then please visit our website.
You want to give him a hand?
Yeah, where are you located?
We're in the southeast area of Nashville. So we've been there for 7 years. For our after school program is at with about 85 students. And we have 15 young men in our mentoring program that we bless, that we invest their lives into their lives. That's what we do on a regular basis. All right. Thank you for so much. You two are such a blessing. All right.
Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you.
Well, I'm really